We've got some free agency news and rumors to get to on today's show, but first, today's Cleveland Browns report is sponsored by RexMD, the most trusted company in men's telehealth. We'll tell you more about their awesome services later on, including up to 90% off for the dog pound, which comes out to $2 a dosage. But first, we got some free agency news. Pop the champagne. No, not really. I mean, it's not that I'm not excited about Ethan Posick or Taki being re-signed. It's just not what I thought the first signings would be by the Browns today. Like many of you watching, I sort of thought we'd be in the mix for champagne popping, having a party, having a celebration, landing a big-time player, and that door's not closed. It's just not here right now, and I'm impatient. But we do have this from Josina Anderson, who tweeted out, "I'm told the Browns center Ethan Posick is expected to re-sign." We got the contract details as well from Mike Garafolo, who tweeted out, "Done deal for Browns center Ethan Posick to stay in Cleveland. He gets $18 million in base salary and base value on a 3-year deal with more available via incentives." We'll stick it right here for a second because I thought Ethan Posick had a good shot of coming back. I thought it'd be like a 2-year, 18-ish million, right? A little under 10. Instead, it's 3-year, $18 million, so $6 million a season. I'm sure the Browns have an easy out after 2 seasons. That's a lot of money to the offensive line, right? You got Jedrick Wills, who'll be due for a payday potentially soon if they go that route. You've already paid Joel Petonio. Now you just paid Ethan Posick. You've already paid Wyatt Teller, and you just extended Jack Conklin. That's a lot of investment on the offensive line. I don't know if they're going to be able to keep that band together for many more seasons out after 2023. Moving on, though, before we break down this and more, quickly, Mary Kay reported in kind of a bizarre-ish wording, when linebacker Sione Takitaki agrees to terms with the Browns over the next few days, it will likely be a 1-year deal worth around $2.5 million. He's coming off a nice year, but also late-season ACL surgery. You just never really see the free agent rumors, signings come out like this where we already have the details, we just don't actually have the news done for sure. But between Ethan Posick and Taki coming back to Cleveland, how would you grade those signings? A, B, C, D, or F? I don't know if you can give it an absolute A because it's not an absolute game changer. I'll give it a B. I think it's kind of middle of the pack, right? I don't think it's anything you necessarily have to write home about. So I'll go with a B. Ultimately, if I could expand on re-signing Posick and Taki, I'm excited about Posick coming back. We're going to look at some stats of his and Taki in just a few short minutes. But sort of raw reaction is cool. I wish the first video I did today was about Javon Hargrave, right? Which we'll look at later on. Or about another defensive tackle. Instead, it's the Browns missing out / coming, too short on some of the big-name defensive players who are off the board. So they bring back some of their own, and that's fine. Both players were really good last year. Taki filled in quite nicely at that Mike linebacker spot when Anthony Walker went down. It was a bummer when he tore his ACL. And Posick, his value just went through the roof when he got hurt. Right? So with that being said, we'll get to more on this in just a second. But today's show is sponsored by RexMD. Fellas, do you sometimes lack confidence in the bedroom? We've all had those nights when we get too nervous or maybe had too much to drink. There's nothing worse than not being able to put the stick shift in drive when you need it most. But have no fear, RexMD is here. Spreading cheer even when you have too many beers. RexMD is FDA approved and the most trusted leader in men's telehealth. They have sponsored today's Browns Report to help you always be prepared. RexMD has made it simple, easy, and cost-effective to help all men out there last longer and feel more confident in the bedroom. RexMD makes getting generic and branded Viagra or Cialis easy. Everything's online, even the prescription, and they deliver it discreetly to your door. No waiting rooms, no embarrassing trips to the doctor, no insurance, and no copays. Take advantage of their best deal they've ever offered and save up to 90% off and only pay $2 per dosage with our exclusive link. Go to rexmd.com/chat for this limited time deal. Starter packs of generic Viagra or Cialis are now available for our listeners to get started. That's rexmd.com/chat. I put that link in the comments and the description of today's show. Now let's look at some stats for Ethan Posick. His PFF grades from 2022. He was the third best center in football, right? Overall grade of 79.0. That's really good. Just one penalty, 2 sacks allowed for a guy that didn't have huge expectations in front of him. When Nick Harris went down, he stepped in and blew everyone out of the water. So I'm excited about Posick coming back. Here's how the depth chart looks for Cleveland going into 2023. It's the same as 2022. You got the same 5 starters, and that's nice and comfortable for Deshaun Watson to get that continuity, get that familiarity with his offensive line, and not have a lot of changes early on in his tenure for the Browns. Stats for Taki, up until he tore his ACL, he played in 12 games, 71 tackles, 4 tackles for loss, a forced fumble, a sack. He was awesome on Halloween against the Bengals. Taki was an ascending player who was rising the ranks. That ACL tear was a huge time bummer, but I'm excited and happy for him because that's just an overall good guy you like to see make some coin and come back to the Browns. The linebacker depth chart for the Browns, it's a bit on the side, right? JOK, I love. Taki at middle linebacker, I like. Tony Fields, I'm nervous, and I don't know what to make of Jacob Phillips. There's still room for Anthony Walker to come back potentially. I don't think Taki returning shuts the door on that, but if there were odds on it, it definitely doesn't necessarily help in terms of him potentially returning. Now, we're going to get to some other rumors from free agency in just a moment, but join the #1 Cleveland Browns YouTube channel. At least I think so. We got live shows. If the Browns sign Draymond Jones, who we'll talk about in a little bit, I will be pressing all the buttons here at Chat Sports to get this show live for that. So make sure to subscribe. Don't miss a thing when you're subscribed. So now we got some rumors to hit on here, as that's what free agency is also good for, not just news. Brad Stainbrook tweeted out, Adam Schefter just now was either the Browns or 49ers for Hargrave. This fucking sucks, right? Pour one out. Really wanted Javon Hargrave. Definitely did not see him going to the 49ers. I thought the Bears would make the most sense. The Bears just signed 2 linebackers. Well, they signed 2 players, but 2 linebackers. Tremaine Edmonds from Buffalo. He got a lot of money. So that does help a little bit because now that's one less team who's got more money to spend, although they still got kind of endless amounts of cash in free agency. Still, Hargrave coming down to 2 teams, and one of them being the Browns, I mean, that's just a dagger right there. Would have been so much fun to have him on the defensive line. He was my dream guy, and he got away. So with that, we move on to this from Jake Trotter. With Javon Hargrave headed to San Francisco, Dalvin Tomlinson and Draymond Jones are the 2 defensive tackle names to watch for the Browns as the team looks to plug a major hole in free agency. You know that a rumor has some legs to it when beat reporters from that player's hometown team are talking about it, okay? Troy Rank, who covers the Denver Broncos out there for NBC, it looks like, based on the profile picture. Broncos' most coveted free agent is defensive tackle Draymond Jones. Denver has stayed in touch, but Browns expected to be aggressive in pursuit. Bears expected to pursue him strongly as well. Well, Denver just gave out a boatload of cash early in free agency to Mike McGlinchey and Ben Powers. I think they're probably done for any signings today at least, and maybe that's kind of all the big splashes they have in them. And then Chicago, like I said, they just gave Tremaine Edmonds $18 million a season. They also signed Nate Davis, an offensive guard. They signed TJ Edwards earlier. They've already spent a lot of money. If Draymond Jones goes for $16 to $19 million, I think the Bears might be sort of tapped out. So then it comes down to other teams bidding for Draymond Jones, which there are a lot of suitors. I think a lot of teams would make sense for him. I think the Broncos and the Bears potentially being out. The Falcons had the second most cap space, and they haven't spent a lot of money. So could they come in and sort of big dick the Browns out of signing Draymond Jones? We'll throw his stats of his last 4 seasons up on screen for you guys right now. Of course, we're talking about a Cleveland native, went to Ohio State, 3rd-round pick for Denver. If you've watched the show before, you know that I like Draymond Jones, but to a degree, right? I've got my limits. I've got my ceiling on how much I would like to see him get paid. And if it's coming down to $18, $17-ish million a season, that's simply too rich for my liking. But if the Browns can get him closer to 15, that still might be a bit of an overpay for a guy who's never had more than 6.5 sacks in a season. But he's on the way up, and with Myles Garrett, he could turn 6.5 into 10, and that would be awesome. He's not a very good run stopper, though. And I want the Browns to get better at run stopping. That was the number one need this offseason. I don't think that the door on getting run stoppers is shut because you signed Draymond Jones, but it definitely is not the big splash run-stopping signing you could be looking for. So what say you? Would you want the Browns to sign Draymond Jones? Yes or no? I would if it's not for too much. And I know it's a bit of a cowardly answer, but at the rate that the defensive tackle free agent market is going, I mean, Shai Tuttle went to the Carolina Panthers, David Onyemata went to the Falcons. If these guys keep garnishing a lot of money, Draymond Jones is going to have a good case to make when he walks into some of these meetings and offices and go, if those guys are making that much and I know I'm better, I want to be paid like it. And that concerns me and that scares me.